to this emerging threat. On the other side, we clearly see that the Russian Federation is continuing to commit war crimes in the areas that are now under their temporary occupation. All atrocities that have been taking place during this 7 months, they continue to happen. The forceful deportation of Ukrainian civilians, of Ukrainian children, continues. They continue to ruin infrastructure. They continue to loot everything they can touch. They continue to bring more and more atrocities to ordinary civilians. We have been continuing to liberate the areas in the eastern part and in the southern part of Ukraine. And the picture we see on a daily basis, it horrifies us because we continue to find and to reveal mass graves of people, not only military, but also civilians, whole family with children, who were murdered by Russian soldiers with their hands tied behind their backs and many other cruel things that I wouldn't mention further. But these crimes continue. As of today, our law enforcement agencies have started more than 41,000 criminal investigation against Russian military for committing war crimes in the territory of Ukraine. And definitely, we will continue this work, and we will bring all responsible for these atrocities and for these war crimes to responsibility. And in this regard, definitely we are grateful to all our partners for providing us with technical assistance, with financial assistance, in order to have this international criminal procedures take place and be successfully implemented. My words of gratitude definitely goes to Sweden, which support the activities of International Criminal Court and actively participates in this multinational efforts to bring Russian Federation to international justice. This effort should be definitely continued. Another thing that we are now working hard with, together with our partners, is definitely to bring more assistance to Ukraine. As a country which is at the state of war with the second biggest army in the world, we need almost everything. When we're talking about several dimensions of this assistance, on the one side, we definitely work with the government and with all our friends and local regional authorities here in Sweden in order to get more assistance for our people to be stronger and to be better protected and to liberate faster all the territories. On the other side, in view of the current tactics of the Russian Federation of targeting civilian infrastructure, we definitely need as much as possible when it comes to energy equipment in order to be better prepared for the winter coming to Ukraine. In this regard, I see several options which we are now working very hard together with our Swedish friends. One is definitely together with the government. Another is together with local and regional authorities. And the third thing that we can do is to continue to be engaged in fundraising activities in order to provide this necessary equipment together with warm clothes and some other things for Ukrainian civilians who will suffer toughest winter during the 31 years of our independence. So these issues that we are taking care of in the embassy with our Ukrainian people who enjoy temporary protection here in Sweden and together with all our Swedish friends here. The topic of our conversation when it comes to response of Ukraine to Russian invasion and the role of international organization, I would now like to brief you about the efforts of international organizations in order to mitigate the consequences of this war. We are definitely very much grateful to international organizations, what they do, especially international humanitarian organizations, which collect and provide assistance and help to Ukrainians living not only in Ukraine, but also in Europe and in other countries in the world. And in this regard, I am very much grateful to Rotary Sweden family for providing this fundraising activities and sending your money to UNICEF and other international humanitarian organizations. Another thing is that we are working very hard with international organizations like United Nations, like Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, like International Committee of Red Cross, to be more effective during these hardest times in our modern history. And in this regard, I would like to mention the so-called Grain Initiative by United Nations Secretary General, together with our friends from Turkey, which allowed us to agree on the so-called Grain Green Corridor from the seaports in the Black Sea, which helped us a lot to unblock our grain export from Ukraine to the countries which rely upon our grain and food products. Through this very important initiative, which was brokered and negotiated by United Nations Secretary General himself, we managed to export more than 8 million tons of grain. Definitely it's not enough, and we are working very hard with United Nations and Turkey in order to press Russian Federation to prolong this agreement for next period, because as we see now, they're trying everything in order to reject this proposal and terminate this very important initiative. On the other side, we are working very hard with International Committee of Red Cross, and we are, frankly speaking, pressing them very hard in order for them to get the access to Ukrainian prisoners of war, which are being held in Russia and the temporarily occupied areas. Unfortunately, they haven't got any access yet. And in this regard, we think that they should do everything they can, together with all our partners at the national and multinational levels, in order to get this access as soon as possible. Because what we see on the ground, when we have these exchanges of prisoners of war, we see that they were badly treated while they stayed in prison. And that's why we need more and more pressure on Russia in order to get more and more access, and what is more important, urgent access for all international organizations to people which are held by Russian occupation forces. On our side, within the last 8 years, when we have this war of Russia against Ukraine, we have always provided free and full access to every international organization, which was in charge of various spheres, and they enjoyed every access, and they could talk to people, and they could make their reports, and they could provide evidence that Ukraine adheres to its international commitments when it comes to international humanitarian law and many other things. I will probably stop here, and I would be definitely more than happy to answer your questions if you have, to the best of my knowledge and to the best of my experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency, the Ambassador of Ukraine, Andrii Plakhotniuk. And before we let in the questions, I will make a short summary in Swedish. Och jag hoppas att ni många förstod vad kunde hänga med i vad ambassadören pratade om här. Men han börjar med att prata om hur känsligt det är med energiinfrastrukturen, inte minst hur den attackeras, om hur det ser ut med försöken att befria östra och södra delarna av Ukraina. Men att krigsbrotten fortsätter. 41 000 utredningar om krigsbrott är pågående. Och han är ju mycket tacksam för allt stöd som har getts från Sverige och från alla andra länder och organisationer, bland annat då när det gäller utredningar av krigsbrott. Men mer stöd behövs och hjälp med i princip allt, säger han. Energiförsörjningen är ju en springande punkt. Ambassadören pratar också om samarbetet med alla organisationer, FN, Röda Korset och den här spannmålskorridoren där man hittills har lyckats få ut 8 miljoner ton spannmål. Och i slutet så pratar ambassadören här också om utväxlingen av krigsfångar, om hur väldigt dåligt behandlade de ukrainska krigsfångarna har varit och att man behöver hjälp för att lösa den situationen. So now for questions, and we have a question, and please continue to ask the right in the chat function. And here is another one. So what can we as a civil organization do to help? Shall we send money to local organizations or national or material, or is it other activities that you want from us? Please tell us, Your Excellency.
We can do many things actually, even as a civil organization. Even if we are now talking about Rotary districts and Rotary Sweden as a whole family, if it's possible, we would see it's very important to continue this fundraising activities. Because you have permanent contact with your Ukrainian friends from the Rotary family, and you know their urgent needs on the ground. And it's very important because you can understand the picture and you can understand what is necessary for the specific district or the specific area. Definitely the government will do its own part of support, and definitely local authorities will do theirs. But when it comes to civil organizations, please continue to communicate with your friends in Ukraine. Please continue to organize cultural activities which would help us to bring more assistance to Ukraine. And this would really make difference on the ground, because every single, for example, diesel generator which will be bought at the due to this financial support of all our friends here in Sweden. It will be delivered to Ukraine, and it will provide heating and will provide energy, for example, to a couple of families. It will do its it will have its positive effect on the ground. That's how we can do. Please continue the activities you are doing. That would be my appeal and would be my humble request to all our friends from both districts, Rotary districts, which we have conference today. I see some other questions regarding the aid and the aid organizations. They definitely have no access on the ground, and the aid is delivered by volunteers solely, and by government of Ukraine. And we have numerous examples of Swedish volunteers that are risking their lives literally by delivering the so necessary medicine and some other equipment to the areas which are so close to the front line. They're doing this on regular basis, and we are so much grateful for them. And the government does its best in order to provide the opportunities and to arrange the green corridors for the people who want to leave. Definitely many people, and the majority of people have already left for safer places in Ukraine, in the western part. And those who stay, who have no opportunities to leave, and these places are located in the battlefield, they are definitely supported to the best of our possibilities. And definitely they suffer most of those atrocities that Russians bring to Ukraine. Could you say something on the problem with the usage of mines in the warfare and the need for clearing mines and other explosive remnants?
You questions directly. Very good. Thank you.
Yes, I'll try to be as supportive and helpful as I can be. Look, this is a very important issue for Ukraine, and will be an issue for dozens and dozens of years to come in order to demine all the areas. What we face now, you probably heard in the news, because we have a very objective and full coverage of war in Ukraine by Swedish media. Now we have information that the Russians allegedly put mines in this very strong hydro energy power plant in the Kherson region. So now it's mined. We have mines all over the territories which we have hostilities taking place. Everything is mined. We have for many years, for the last 8 years, Sweden has provided a lot of support with clear accent on the mining activities. We have supported these activities by the government of Sweden. And by the way, we have strong business in Sweden here, which is the mining activities. And we have now initiated together with them and the embassy of Ukraine a fundraising campaign in order to collect as much as possible when it comes to I would say first aid kits when it comes to the miners, because we have several agencies which are responsible for this. One is emergency agencies, which is under the Ministry of Interior, and there are some other agencies. And so the mining workers, they definitely need as many possible as we can arrange when it comes to these kits, that they can use them in order to demine schools, residential places, and the liberated areas. So this work is very important, and it continues, and it will be continued.
Yes, I wish to make just a short summary in Swedish. Alltså vi pratar ju här om minerade områden och vad det här betyder och hur mycket man har att städa efter kriget. Alltså det pågår insamlingar, det pågår insatser för att sätta in olika sorter av stöd för detta, säger ambassadören väldigt kort. And I think we can take one last question, and if we try to see this war, the end of the war, does the Ukrainian government want to see a special war crime tribunal like after the war in former Yugoslavia? What do you say?
It's our main task when it comes to our international legal work. The problem is that it is our strong resolve and our strong desire to have this special tribunal established. But the main issue is that it's quite a challenge when it comes to agreeing it internationally, because we have some other organs which are working hard in this area. But now we are talking about this special tribunal, and we are talking about bringing Russians not only for war crimes, by the committing of crime of aggression, military aggression. This legal work is very important, and we are trying to mobilize all our partners in order to have success in this story. We are more than confident that this story will fly, and we will have this special tribunal, because in any case, every person who is responsible for these war crimes should be brought to justice.
Ambassadören säger här att det är deras stora önskan att få en sån här speciell tribunal, och att det samtidigt är en stor utmaning, inte bara att utreda krigsbrotten utan också andra aggressioner mot landet och i samband med kriget. So, and Your Excellency, one last question. Is there still hope in Ukraine?
You mean hope for our victory? Yes. You know, Russians think, and I say Russians, not just Putin regime or Russian military. Unfortunately, despite all our efforts to support civil society in Russia, now more than 80% of people support Putin's crimes, war crimes in Ukraine. And when Russians think that they will make us weaker, they are wrong 100%. Despite all these atrocities, despite all these shellings, despite all this destruction, and despite all these sufferings, and their efforts to destroy the whole country and the people, we are more united. We have become even more stronger, and definitely we will show more resilience and resolve, and we will be very strong in our wish to bring peace to Ukraine.
frågan jag ställde handlar om, finns det fortfarande hopp? Ja, svarar ambassadören. Även om 80% av ryssarna stödjer Putins krigsföring, så menar han att ju mer motstånd de får från Ryssland och Ryssland väntar sig att Ukraina ska bli svagare, desto starkare blir landet. Vi står starka och vi fortsätter vårt motstånd. That's the final words from Your Excellency Andrii Plakhotniuk. I hope I translate your name.
Exactly.
It is. We are so grateful to have you with us in this Rotary Peace Conference today, and what can I say? Go on, and we will support you in the ways we can. Thank you.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I was truly honored to participate in this conference. Sorry for being not that brief in my remarks. Thank you for all support that Rotary Sweden is providing to Ukraine, that the Rotary District 2360 and 23, I think, yes, 2380 are providing to Ukraine. We are so much grateful for that. Please stand with Ukraine, please embrace Ukraine, and the support that you provide here in Sweden. We see that, and we are so much grateful for that. Thank you so much.
Tack. Thank you.
Tack så mycket.
Ja, jag står nästan här och blir lite rörd i ögat.